Hello and welcome. Today we're diving into a fascinating intersection of technology and health. How artificial intelligence is revolutionizing nutritional neuroscience to fuel our brains for peak cognitive performance. In simple terms, we'll explore how AI is helping scientists understand the way our diet affects our brain, and how this knowledge can be used to create personalized nutrition plans for better memory, focus, and mental clarity. Imagine having a custom-tailored diet plan that knows exactly what your brain needs, from the right foods for sharp memory to the ideal gut-friendly meals for a better mood. AI, artificial intelligence, is making this possible by analyzing huge amounts of data on what we eat, the bacteria living in our gut, and even measures of our brain function. The goal? To optimize brain health and cognitive performance, whether you're a student wanting better focus, a professional aiming for mental clarity, or an older adult hoping to keep your memory strong. In this video, we'll break down the science of how diet affects brain function, including the role of the gut-brain axis, the communication highway between your gut and your brain. We'll talk about key nutrients and foods linked to better brain performance. Think omega-3s, B vitamins, and antioxidants, and explain why they matter. Then, we'll see AI in action, real examples of AI-driven tools and studies that create personalized, brain-friendly diets. We'll even look at some case studies where people use these AI-guided nutrition plans and saw improvements in cognition. So, whether you're a tech enthusiast, a health nut, or just curious how your morning yogurt or veggie salad might influence your brain, stay tuned. By the end, you'll understand how cutting-edge AI and good old-fashioned nutrition science are coming together to help us all eat smarter for our brains. Let's get started on AI and nutritional neuroscience, fueling the brain for cognitive performance. You've probably heard the saying, "You are what you eat." When it comes to your brain, there's a lot of truth to that. The human brain is an energy-hungry organ. It makes up only about 2% of our body weight, but uses roughly 20% of the calories we eat. That means every fifth bite of food you take is essentially going to fuel your thoughts, memories, and mood. If you fill up on junk food, your brain chemistry and performance can suffer. Fuel it with nutrient-rich foods and it can thrive. Glucose, blood sugar, is the brain's primary fuel. Have you ever felt foggy or irritable when you're hungry? That's your brain running low on glucose. On the flip side, have you experienced a sugar crash after gulping down a sweet snack? That's your blood sugar spiking and then plummeting, which can slow down your mental processing and impair focus. Keeping your blood sugar stable with balanced meals, for example, pairing carbs with protein and healthy fats, can give more steady energy to your brain throughout the day. Beyond just calories and glucose, specific nutrients play critical roles in brain health. The brain is made of cells called neurons, and these neurons need certain raw materials to work properly. For instance, about 60% of the solid weight of your brain is fat, and a large chunk of that fat is the omega-3 fatty acid known as DHA. It's no surprise that omega-3s, found in fatty fish like salmon and in walnuts and flax seeds, are linked to brain benefits. DHA helps reduce inflammation and supports communication between brain cells, literally helping to build and maintain the cell membranes in the brain. Studies have found that people with higher omega-3 intake or blood levels often have better cognitive function and even slower brain aging, while low omega-3 levels have been associated with cognitive decline. Another crucial set of nutrients are the B vitamins, like B6, B12, and folate. These vitamins help the brain by assisting in energy metabolism, so your brain cells can actually use that fuel, and by removing metabolic waste. For example, without enough B12 or folate, a substance called homocysteine can build up, and high homocysteine is linked to a greater risk of dementia. In a clinical study, seniors with mild cognitive impairment who took B vitamins maintained better cognitive function if they had good omega-3 levels. Essentially, omega-3s and B vitamins work together to slow down brain shrinkage and memory loss. This suggests that having sufficient B vitamins, from leafy greens, whole grains, meat, and eggs for instance, can protect your brain's health, especially if other nutrients like omega-3 are in place. Antioxidants are also key players. The brain generates a lot of free radicals, damaging molecules, as a byproduct of its intense activity. Antioxidants from our diet vitamins like vitamin E, found in nuts and seeds, vitamin C in fruits and veggies, and a whole class of plant compounds called flavonoids help neutralize those free radicals. This can prevent damage to brain cells over time. Research has shown that people who eat diets rich in colorful fruits and vegetables, high in flavonoids and other antioxidants, tend to have better cognitive outcomes and a lower risk of dementia. For example, berries, rich in flavonoids, have been found to improve memory in older adults in some studies, and green leafy veggies, loaded with vitamin K and folate, are associated with slower cognitive decline. It's as if these foods rust-proof the brain by fighting oxidative stress and inflammation. Lastly, let's not forget protein and amino acids, the building blocks of neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and GABA are brain chemicals that affect mood, motivation, and concentration. They're made from amino acids that come from dietary protein. Tryptophan, from protein foods like turkey, eggs, or beans, turns into serotonin, which influences mood and calmness. Tyrosine, from meats, dairy, legumes, turns into dopamine, which affects focus and drive. If your diet is lacking protein or certain vitamins, minerals that assist these conversions, your brain's supply of neurotransmitters could suffer, affecting how you feel and think. In short, diet is the foundation of brain performance. A well-fed brain, one that gets steady energy and plenty of micronutrients, is primed for better memory, faster thinking, and stable mood, whereas a poorly fed brain can lead to brain fog, fatigue, and long-term problems. Now that we know the fuel our brains need, let's see how the gut and brain are connected, and why scientists say we have a second brain in our gut. Have you ever had butterflies in your stomach when you were nervous or felt sick to your stomach when something scary happened? That's a glimpse of the gut-brain axis in action, the constant two-way conversation between your gut and your brain. The gut and brain are physically connected by the vagus nerve, a long nerve that runs from your brain to your abdominal organs, and by chemicals that travel through the bloodstream. What's incredible is that your gut has its own nervous system with about 500 million neurons, sometimes nicknamed the second brain. One major player in the gut-brain axis is the microbiome, the trillions of bacteria and other microbes living in your intestines. These microbes help digest your food, make certain vitamins, and crucially, they send signals to the brain. They produce neurotransmitters and other molecules that can affect your mood and cognition. For example, certain gut bacteria species produce GABA and serotonin, neurotransmitters that help regulate anxiety, mood, and happiness. In fact, about 90% of the body's serotonin is made in the gut. The gut microbiome also produces short-chain fatty acids, like butyrate, when it ferments fiber. These fatty acids can reduce inflammation and even promote the production of BDNF, a brain growth factor that supports learning and memory. The communication happens through multiple pathways: neural signals, hormones, immune system chemicals, and more. If the microbiome falls into dysbiosis, an unhealthy imbalance, say too many bad bugs and not enough good ones, it can send errant signals that have been linked with issues like increased anxiety, depression, and even cognitive disorders. Scientists have found, for instance, that people with depression often have different gut bacteria profiles than healthy individuals. It's a bit of a chicken and egg scenario, each influences the other. But we do know improving gut health can benefit the brain. Diet is the biggest factor shaping your gut microbiome. If you eat a diet high in fiber and diverse plant foods, fruits, veggies, whole grains, legumes, you tend to foster a diverse, stable microbiome filled with beneficial bacteria. These good microbes churn out anti-inflammatory compounds and help strengthen the gut lining, which prevents harmful substances from leaking into the bloodstream and affecting the brain. On the other hand, a diet high in sugar, unhealthy fats, and low in fiber, think a typical ultra-processed Western diet, can cause blooms of inflammatory microbes and reduce the diversity of your gut bugs. This has been linked to more inflammation not just in the gut, but systemically, even in the brain, potentially contributing to conditions like memory loss or neurodegeneration over time. Let's consider a powerful example: the Mediterranean diet, which is rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, fish, and olive oil. It consistently associates with better cognitive function and lower dementia risk. One reason researchers believe is that it nurtures a healthy gut microbiome, which in turn sends beneficial signals to the brain. A 2025 study showed that rats fed a Mediterranean-style diet had distinctly different gut bacteria compared to rats on a Western diet, and the Med diet rats performed better on memory and learning tests. Their levels of good bacteria went up and bad bacteria went down, correlating with improvements in cognitive flexibility and working memory. This suggests that what was happening in their guts, thanks to diet, directly impacted their brain performance. In humans, other studies have found similar patterns. Eat well, your microbiome produces more of what your brain loves. Eat poorly, and your microbiome might produce chemicals that stress or inflame the brain. It's not just long-term diet either, even short-term changes can tweak the microbiome. Fascinating research on probiotics, supplements or fermented foods containing live beneficial bacteria, shows that adding certain strains can modestly improve mood and cognitive function in some cases. For example, giving probiotics to people with mild cognitive impairment has shown cognitive benefits in some trials. Prebiotics, fibers that feed beneficial gut bacteria, also can have anti-anxiety or pro-cognitive effects by changing gut bacteria composition. All of this falls under nutritional neuroscience, as scientists unravel how feeding our gut microbes the right stuff can in turn feed our brain what it needs through the gut-brain axis. Now, if this seems complex, it is. There are hundreds of species of gut microbes and countless chemicals involved. This is where AI comes to the rescue. The human brain, our brain, not the one in our gut, struggles to analyze such enormous complex datasets of diet, microbiome, and cognitive outcomes. But AI, with its machine learning algorithms, is very good at finding patterns in big data. In the next section, we'll see how artificial intelligence is being used to decode this gut-brain chatter and dietary patterns, and help create personalized nutrition plans that optimize brain health. Now that we understand how diet and gut health influence the brain, the big question is, how do we personalize this knowledge for each individual? This is where artificial intelligence steps in. Our diets, microbiomes, and even genetics are unique, so the optimal brain-boosting diet might look different for each person. AI has the ability to crunch vast amounts of personal health data. What you eat, your gut bacteria profile, blood biomarkers, cognitive test scores, etc., and detect patterns or recommendations that a human expert might miss. Let's break down how AI is used in this arena. 1. Analyzing dietary patterns. Traditional dietitians often rely on food diaries and generic guidelines. AI can go further by analyzing long-term diet logs, sometimes using image recognition. For example, researchers in Singapore developed an AI-driven nutrition app that let older adults simply snap photos of their meals. The app's AI would identify the foods in the photo and estimate the nutrients, essentially automating dietary tracking. Over 6 months, the app then correlated each person's diet with their cognitive performance, measured by memory and attention tests. The AI could notice, say, if higher veggie intake or lower saturated fat correlated with better memory scores for a particular user. In the study, those who used the AI app along with other brain training exercises maintained stronger cognitive function compared to a control group. This suggests that real-time diet monitoring and feedback made possible by AI helped people eat in a more brain-healthy way, slowing down expected cognitive decline. Mobile apps like these can give personalized nudges. If your diet today is low in, say, vitamin B or high in sugar, the AI might ping you to adjust tomorrow's meals to stay on track. It's like having a nutritionist and coach in your pocket, one that learns your habits and cognitive responses over time. 2. Incorporating microbiome data. One person's superfood might be another person's dietary downfall, often due to differences in our gut microbiomes. AI algorithms are now analyzing individuals' gut bacteria profiles to fine-tune dietary advice. Companies like Viome offer at-home microbiome tests and use AI to recommend foods to eat or avoid based on your gut bacteria. For instance, if your microbiome analysis shows low levels of bacteria that produce butyrate, a chemical linked to brain benefits, the AI might suggest eating more fiber-rich foods like oats or bananas that could boost those bacteria. Viome's platform specifically claims to identify imbalances affecting brain health, mood, and mental clarity by looking at microbial functions. If their AI finds, for example, markers of inflammation or low serotonin production pathways in your gut data, it might personalize your diet plan to include more omega-3s, prebiotic fibers, or fermented foods to address those issues. While much of this is cutting edge and still being validated, the approach is based on solid science. AI can sift through the thousands of species in the gut microbiome and highlight which ones matter for your brain, then link them to foods that modulate those microbes. In research settings, AI has even identified entirely new microbiome signatures for mental health conditions. One study used machine learning to find patterns of gut bacteria associated with depression, and predict who had depression with a high degree of accuracy, showing how powerful these tools can be. 3. Using cognitive biomarkers. AI not only looks at diet and gut data, it can also keep an eye on direct measures of brain health, what we might call cognitive biomarkers. These include cognitive test scores, brain scans, or even digital biomarkers like how fast you tap a screen, which correlates with reaction time and brain processing speed. By analyzing these alongside diet, AI can learn which dietary factors seem to influence specific cognitive metrics. For instance, an AI might notice that people with higher long-term antioxidant intake have better attention scores, or that those with frequent fast food consumption perform worse on memory tests. On a more high-tech level, scientists at USC created an AI model that analyzes MRI brain scans to determine a person's brain age, how old your brain appears biologically versus your actual age. Faster brain aging is linked to higher risk of cognitive decline. In the future, we can imagine combining that with dietary data. If the AI sees your brain aging faster than it should, it could flag you for a nutrition intervention, maybe suggesting a switch to a Mediterranean diet or specific nutrients to slow neurodegeneration. Some AI-driven programs, like the AI Mind project in Europe, are already using digital tools to screen people with mild cognitive impairment and then guiding interventions. Diet is a logical next step for intervention, and AI can personalize it. 4. Recommending personalized brain diet plans. Put it all together. Diet logs, microbiome, cognitive tests, maybe even blood biomarkers like vitamin D level or cholesterol, and AI can synthesize a personalized nutrition plan. This isn't a one-size-fits-all brain diet from a magazine, it's a dynamic plan tailored to you. For example, AI could determine that for you, adding an extra serving of leafy greens 4 times a week and eliminating your afternoon sugary snack might improve your concentration by a certain percentage based on patterns learned from similar individuals. These insights come from pattern recognition in large datasets. In one published study, researchers used AI to predict individual blood sugar responses to various foods by feeding in data on the person's microbiome, diet, and lifestyle. The AI was able to create personalized meal plans that kept each person's blood sugar stable. And when people followed these AI-guided diets, they indeed had better blood sugar control than a standard diet. Why does this matter for the brain? Because big swings in blood sugar can impair cognitive function, causing that brain fog, and over years, chronically high blood sugar damages blood vessels, including those in the brain. So, an AI that fine-tunes your meals to your metabolism might help keep your brain energized and healthy in the long run. This idea of precision nutrition is becoming more popular. Instead of generic advice, it's about the right diet for the right person, and AI is the key to figuring that out efficiently. Now let's look at a real-life case study to make this concrete. To see how this works in practice, consider the case of an older individual. Let's call her Mary, a 65-year-old with mild memory complaints. Mary is otherwise healthy but worried about her cognitive health because her mother had dementia. She joins a program where an AI-based platform will guide her lifestyle for brain health. Here's what happens. Baseline assessments. Mary's data is collected. She logs her typical diet through an app that uses AI to help her record portions accurately via photo recognition. She provides a stool sample for microbiome sequencing, and she takes some cognitive tests on a tablet assessing her memory, attention, etc. She also wears a smartwatch that tracks her physical activity and sleep. This is a lot of data. AI analysis. The AI crunches all this information. It finds that Mary's diet is low in fiber and omega-3s but high in refined carbs like white bread and sweets. Her microbiome shows low diversity, especially low levels of bifidobacterium and faecalibacterium, which are bacteria associated with good gut health, and some markers of inflammation. Her cognitive tests are okay for now, but show slightly slower processing speed for her age. The AI, comparing Mary's profile with thousands of others in its database, identifies a few key personalized recommendations. Increase anti-inflammatory, fiber-rich foods and omega-3 intake, and engage in activities to boost her cognitive processing speed. Personalized plan. The platform suggests Mary start a modified Mediterranean diet with extra specifics. For example, eat fatty fish like salmon twice a week for omega-3s. Add a daily serving of fermented food like yogurt or kefir to introduce beneficial probiotics. Switch her breakfast cereal to oatmeal with berries and nuts for fiber and antioxidants. and reduce added sugars. It also notes to ensure adequate B vitamins, perhaps suggesting a periodic B12 check or more leafy greens, because Mary's homocysteine from a blood test was a bit high, indicating she might need more folate or B12 to protect her brain. On top of diet, the app encourages her to walk daily, as exercise also boosts brain-derived neurotrophic factor and gives her some brain training games for that processing speed. Continuous feedback. As Mary follows the plan, she logs her meals with the app. If she skips her veggies or goes heavy on a dessert one day, the AI notices and might gently remind, include some greens tomorrow for your brain. Each week, Mary sees a brain health dashboard showing her how well she's meeting her goals, like her omega-3 intake this week, her fiber grams, etc., and how her cognitive test scores are trending. Over a few months, Mary's adherence pays off. She's feeling more energetic and notices her memory is slipping less. The next microbiome test shows increased diversity and a rise in beneficial bacteria, and her cognitive retest shows improvement in processing speed. In the clinical trial of a similar intervention, people like Mary who got this kind of AI-guided personalized plan stayed cognitively sharper than those who just got general health advice. Mary's risk of progressing to serious cognitive impairment may be reduced thanks to early, targeted lifestyle changes. This case study mirrors elements from real research. A 2024 study combined an app delivering personalized nutrition, exercise, and cognitive activity recommendations and found it helped maintain memory and attention in seniors. Another example comes from Japan, where researchers used an AI that analyzes routine health checkup blood data to predict dementia risk. Things like blood sugar, cholesterol, liver enzymes, etc. 23 markers in total were fed into a deep neural network, which could output a score that correlates with cognitive function tests. If the AI found a person at high risk, say due to a combination of subtle issues in their blood markers, they would then get personalized dietary guidance focusing on those risk factors. For instance, if the AI flags pre-diabetes as a risk, the diet plan might focus on low glycemic foods. If it flags nutrient deficiencies or anemia, the plan would focus on iron and vitamin-rich foods. The researchers suggest that coupling this AI risk assessment with a known brain-healthy diet like the MIND diet, a hybrid of Mediterranean and DASH diets focused on brain health, could significantly improve dementia prevention efforts. Real-world platforms are beginning to emerge. We mentioned Viome for microbiome-based advice. Another startup uses AI to design ketogenic diets for people with neurological conditions, since ketogenic diets, very high in fats and low in carbs, are being studied for brain aging and even conditions like epilepsy or Alzheimer's. Their AI takes into account your genetics, lifestyle, and microbiome to tweak the standard ketogenic diet to best suit your brain. Similarly, large tech companies are eyeing this space. Imagine your smartwatch tracking subtle changes in your speech or typing that hint you're tired or unfocused, and then an AI coach suggesting it's time for a brain-boosting snack. How about some fruit and nuts? The gut-brain axis research is also getting a turbo boost from AI. Scientists are using machine learning to find out exactly which bacterial strains produce which neuroactive compounds and how they influence brain circuits. This has led to discovering new probiotic candidates, so-called psychobiotics, that might help with anxiety or memory. AI can model how tweaking a person's diet, like adding a certain prebiotic fiber, might shift their microbial makeup and what downstream effects that has on, say, their stress hormones or cognitive test performance. By running thousands of simulations, AI can help prioritize the best diet changes for a clinical trial. We are still in the early days, but the convergence of AI and nutritional neuroscience holds incredible promise. Down the road, getting a brain-optimized diet might be as routine as getting your blood pressure checked. You'd have your data analyzed and receive a tailored nutrition plan, perhaps even recipes generated by AI focusing on your cognitive strengths and weaknesses. This could be game-changing in contexts like education. Students might use AI nutrition apps to improve concentration and memory recall during exam season, for example, ensuring they have foods rich in omega-3 and antioxidants, which some studies suggest can enhance memory. Work and productivity. Professionals could have personalized meal plans that keep their energy and focus steady throughout the workday, avoiding the afternoon slump by balancing macronutrients correctly. Maybe the AI learns that a certain person does best with a higher protein lunch. Mental health. As we learn more about the gut-brain axis, dietary adjustments could complement treatments for depression or anxiety. For instance, an AI might guide someone to specific fermented foods or fibers that, based on their microbiome and genetics, could boost their mood-regulating neurotransmitters. This would be alongside therapy or medication as an adjunct lifestyle approach. Healthy aging, perhaps the most exciting area. We know dementia and cognitive decline are influenced by lifestyle. AI could help identify people in their 40s or 50s who have risk factors. Maybe an AI finds their diet, weight, and blood markers put them at high dementia risk by 70, and then craft a prevention-focused diet and lifestyle program decades in advance. Even for those in their 70s and beyond, personalized nutrition can help maintain the best possible brain function. Of course, there are challenges. AI is only as good as the data it's trained on, and nutrition is a notoriously tricky area of research. People's eating habits are hard to track accurately, and the effects of diet on the brain can take years to show. We need long-term studies, and those are underway, to truly validate the algorithms. Privacy is another concern. We're talking about sensitive health data, diet, genetics, cognition, being used by apps, so developers must safeguard this information. And not everyone has equal access to these technologies or even the foods recommended. Food deserts and cost can be barriers. However, the trend is clear. AI is empowering us to understand the diet-brain connection in unprecedented detail. It's helping researchers sift through the noise of individual variability to find what really works for an individual. And it's helping individuals stick to plans by providing engaging, instant feedback, turning health into something like a personalized game, with stats and progress bars. It turns out that can motivate people more than a brochure from the doctor. In wrapping up, think of your brain as a high-performance engine. The field of nutritional neuroscience has identified the best fuel and maintenance for that engine: nutritious foods, a healthy gut, and balanced lifestyle. Now, AI is like the brilliant mechanic and coach that tunes the engine precisely and keeps it running at its best, mile after mile. By analyzing your unique makeup and how you respond, it ensures you get the right fuel at the right times. The partnership of human wisdom, eat your veggies, and machine intelligence, here's exactly which veggies and how much for you, could mean a future where we all eat not just to fill our stomachs, but to truly nourish our brains. Thank you for joining us in exploring AI and nutritional neuroscience, fueling the brain for cognitive performance. I hope this gave you a clear and exciting look at how technology is helping us unlock new ways to care for our most vital organ, the brain. If you found this enlightening, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more insights at the intersection of science, health, and technology. And let us know in the comments, what brain-boosting food or tip do you swear by? And would you try an AI personalized diet plan? Until next time, take care of your brain, and happy eating.